Hello, and welcome to episode 215 of The Joy of Coding. Hello, how are you? My name is Mike Conley. I hope you're doing well. Gonna be hacking on some Firefox stuff today. I'm really excited to be back. Last week I was on break, and now I'm back. So it's good to see you. Let's see. Let's get right into it. Let me share my screen. 1 second. Okay, so today is May 13th, 2020, episode 215. A reminder for the people who are new to this stream, no plan survives breakfast. I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't have any pre-planned code that I'm going to write or anything. I don't have a pre-existing solutions written out. This is all kind of coming off the cuff. It's capturing software development in the raw. So things could go wrong. I could get stuck. Things might, I might get rabbit holed or rat holed in something. Pick your rodent. I might get rodent holed in something. And that's okay. Software development kind of works that way. And that's what I'm trying to capture here. So that's part one. Part two is the agenda that we're looking at is something that you have access to. If you are watching this on YouTube, check out the video description for a link. And if you're watching this on Air Mozilla, check out the handout section. And if you're watching this on Twitch, then I'm going to dump the link to the agenda in the Twitch chat right now. There it is. It's in the Twitch chat. There is an episode guide. That's the other thing I want to mention. There is an episode guide. An episode guide is completely viewer driven. So viewers just like you send pull requests. They help modify the contents and the style and the capabilities of the episode guide. And really, it's sort of like a repository of information about each individual episode, which is super handy, especially if you're you want to find something. Maybe you want to see what I was talking about in episode 100 or 150. You can kind of go back without having to watch the whole episode. And maybe someday we'll be able to do full-blown transcripts as well. That was something that I was working on for a little while and then I abandoned it, but hopefully I can get back to it at some point. And we can get transcripts so it's easy to search for stuff in each episode. But for now, it's completely viewer driven and it exists right here. If you click on the link in the agenda, and we go to the site, you can see here we've got all the way up to episode 212 in the episode guide, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there are some episodes just waiting, episode guides waiting for me in this pull request. So I'm actually going to review these right now, and we can maybe get these merged in. So it's a little bit meta. I'm starting the episode by modifying the episode guide. So this is usually pretty straightforward. Smurfd, again, really prolific contributor to the episode guide. Thank you very much, Smurfd. It looks like we've got episodes 213 and 214 here, and the dates look correct. It was on April 22nd. The one thing I like to do whenever I'm reviewing these things is make sure that the links are correct, make sure that they're linking to the right stuff, the right episodes. So here we go. Episode 213. Let's see here. The Evernote agenda, episode 213. Looks good. So what did I cover? There was some background music. I was streaming from home, obviously. We were talking about about new tab scroll position. Oh, that was the day that I had some serious OBS issues with OBS crashing. Hopefully we don't have those today. I'm keeping an eye on it. We're using RR and LLDB. Yeah, that looks fine. Great. Okay, episode 213, that guide looks fine. So episode 214 was April 29th. And so let's just double check the link. Looks right. And the episode guide, or the agenda 214 looks right. And last time, not last week, but the week before, there was no background music. Ooh, there's a typo there. I wonder if that was my typo. No background music. Was that my typo? No, there's just a typo there. I'm gonna fix that up. No problem. Telemetry, eliminate. We were talking more about about new tab and scroll position. And yeah, we were looking to try and figure out why telemetry was making network requests, and we were using RR again to try and find stuff. Turns out I found out what was causing the network requests. it turns out that the way I thought preferences, like whenever you're writing tests, the preferences that you set for the tests in part of the framework, I thought they applied to the type of test framework we were using, but they didn't. So I had to like manually flip the preferences in the test. So that ended up being the problem there. So what did I want to do? I wanted to update this word there, just to fix a small typo. Ironic, almost put a typo in the word typo. And then we're going to merge these in. So thank you very much, Smurf D. These are great. Really appreciate the contributions to the episode guide. And then we can get started on, we can get started on hacking on Firefox. So what I wanted to work on today was, I've got these automated tests for the About Home stuff. And they landed a couple of days ago, but then they bounced. And they bounced because they failed what's called the test verify step. And the test verify step is, we run whenever you're instrumenting a browser. Ideally, when you're writing tests, the tests will run like deterministically, and they'll be really reliable. And, if they pass, then things are working. And if they fail, then things are broken. But unfortunately, and this is true for, I find, most test suites, there is as more and more tests get written, as more and more complexity gets added to the software, and non-determinism gets added to the software. Maybe you add concurrency, like threading, or you've got timers that rely on various things. Now you've added non-determinism, where the way that the machine orders or distributes load on different cores of the machine might impact the running order of various instructions in the program. That can impact the test, and so you get what are called intermittent test failures. And in this case, I think that's what I'm hitting. So the test verify, just to go back for a second, the test verify suite, what it does is it runs the test kind of through this special configuration called chaos mode, which tortures the test and does really interesting things in the operating system level to reorder thread priorities and change the order of things inside collections that have no inherent order, basically to try and reproduce or smoke out intermittent test failures. So the idea being that we can catch these things before they land. And that's what happened to me, is that the test verify suite determined that my patch introduces an intermittent test failure. And I have a theory for why. I actually, just over lunch now, I think I have a theory, and I'd like to test that theory. So let me check out the patch that introduces the test, because this is probably the one where we're going to update this patch right here on the series. And to just remind people about what's going on and what exactly is being tested, for the last couple of weeks, months really, because I've been focusing on a couple of different things, but the last couple of month or so, I've been working on this project that makes it so that we can cache the About Home document that you see when you first launch the browser and whenever you're in the default configuration. Excuse me. Choked on some spit there. And that's been working pretty well, and I wrote some automated tests for it. And the way it works is, periodically we will cache the contents of About Home. We'll cache it to the HTTP cache, and then on restart, we try and extract that cache document from the HTTP cache. But critically, we race it. Intentionally, we race it, because sometimes the HTTP cache will actually be slower than other parts of the machine. I know it's a bit strange, because no matter what, you're reading the About Home document off of the disk. The About Home document is loaded, it's a local document that's in the machine, on your file system. But the HTTP cache isn't loaded into memory immediately on startup, because the HTTP cache is used for all sorts of pages, not just internal pages, but as you browse the web, the HTTP cache caches appropriate sites, and then we intentionally, whenever you load a site where we realize we can use the cache, we race the cache with the network. So we make both a network request and we try and retrieve it off of the cache, and then we race them intentionally. And that's kind of what's happening here, is that this test is failing. The one I'm pointing at here, test basic behavior, which clears out the cache, so pretends that there's no cache, pretends to restart the browser, and ensures that we, let's see, ensure cached about home. First, clear the cache to test. Oh. Well, clear cache. Oh, yeah, I see. So we clear the cache, we simulate a restart so that we write to the cache on shutdown, and then we ensure that after the restart that we have a cached about home document. That's what this test does. And then it shuts down the machine again, pretends to shut down the browser, and then ensures that there's a cached about home on the next start. That's what this test does. And I suspect what's going on here is that, particularly on debug builds, which are slower than normal optimized builds, the HTTP cache is slower than reading the about home document out of what's called the OmniJar, which is where most of the front end resources are hosted. It's in this like memory mapped file called omni.ja that is like loaded into memory so that we can like read out like parts of the browser UI. From, you can think of it almost as like a resources file. If you've ever made video games or something, or if you've ever worked on video games, there's usually in Doom, there was something called a WAD file that contained all of the game resources. You can think of omni.ja as kind of like that for Firefox, where the engine reads that file in, and that's where all of the like JavaScript, CSS, HTML, Zool, that's where all that stuff is. It's basically a zip file. And you can unzip it. If you can find the omni.ja file on your own file system, it's if you're on Windows, it's in the program files directory. In the Firefox, it's like in the root Firefox program directory. You can find omni.ja. You can unzip it, and you can just see all of the stuff that's in there. It's basically what you see whenever you like browse the Firefox source code. But it's just like been packaged specially. Anyways, that omni.ja file is memory mapped very early on during a startup to optimize like loading up the browser UI. And the HTTP cache is not memory mapped. And I suspect what's going on here is that we are getting to the point where during this like torture test, the HTTP cache is slower than reading from the OmniJar file. And so that's why this test is failing, because we intentionally, in the about home cache code, if we realize that by the time we load about home that the cache stuff isn't ready, we just load the dynamic stuff from OmniJar. We just go, screw it, and we throw up our hands and we say we didn't get the cache in time, so we read from the OmniJar file. And normally whenever you read from the OmniJar file, it's not faster, but it means that you like we're going to generate the page dynamically. We were able to get the instructions for generating the page dynamically more quickly than reading the full document out of the HTTP cache. I know that's kind of a fine distinction, but that's what's going on here. And what I want to do is make sure that doesn't occur. I do want to make it though so that if the HTTP cache is slow, because disks can be slow, that we don't just like wait for about home. I want to load the dynamic page. Like, we should always fall back to loading the dynamic page if things are if the HTTP cache is not primed. But in this particular test, I don't want that to occur. So I'm hoping that we can like instrument things a little bit and make it a bit better. So let's take a look. Wow, that was a long explanation. Hopefully that made some sense. Let me show you the code that we're going to be working with for this for this first bug. The place that we care about is this maybe get cached page channel. So let's read the comment really quick here. A public method called from the about new tab service that attempts to return, oh man, there's a typo there, that attempts to return an NSI channel for a cached about home document that we were initialized with. If we fail to be initted with the cache, or the input streams that we were sent have no data yet available, which can be the case if the HTTP cache is not primed, this function returns null. And I think I'm reasonably certain that's what's happening here. The caller should fall back to generating the page dynamically. So I want to make it so that for this particular test, we make it so that this sort of like this slow HTTP cache doesn't occur. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. And my first gut instinct is in this function simulate restart. So simulate restart does the work of like pretending, because we can't actually shut the browser down for this particular type of test, because the test is running inside the browser. It's very silly. We have lots of different test suites, and this particular one doesn't allow us to actually shut the browser down, because that would end the test. So we have to pretend to shut the browser down. And so we shut down all these components. And then this ensure cache entry part works, but I have a feeling it's the reading of the bytes. It's the reading of the bytes, which is, the bytes aren't available. And I have a feeling, now that I say this out loud, I'm going to, I think I know what I want to do. I think what I want to do is add a new argument to this function with auto shutdown right, and then the other one is like, once I start adding multiple arguments to a test like this, I like to, make them named, especially if they're Booleans. I like to make them named functions. So, maybe what I'll do is like with auto shutdown right equals. So there's a way of doing like default named arguments, named argument objects. I'm trying to remember what the format is. That's not helpful. Options equals the empty object. I think I've seen this pattern before. I'm trying to remember what it is. Where you can put it inside the definition. Hang on. Object. They're called default parameters JavaScript. I gotta look this stuff up too sometimes. If it's an object, where is it? Object. Here it is. Destructured parameter with default value assignment. Okay. This is kind of a weird format. I got a feeling I can probably do it this way. And linting is probably going to hate me, but here we go. Auto shutdown right will be, well, what was the default before? I think it was true. Yeah, okay. True. And then what I want is like ensure cache bytes available. True. Maybe ensure cache wins race. Maybe that's what I'll call it. Ensure cache wins race. Let's see what that's like. Ensure cache wins race. And I'm very curious to see what Prettier thinks of this. JS Prettier is our thing that makes it sort of easy to, I can't believe it's liking it. Interesting. Let me just run linting on that real quick. Mock ESLint or mock lint. Here, let me pump up the font so you can see what I'm writing. Mock lint browser components, new tab, browser, no, test browser, about home, head.js. Gonna do some linting. Anyways, so with auto shutdown right is true, then we'll do this. So it's with ensure cache wins race. What I'm gonna do is ensuring the cache, ensuring cache bytes are available. What I'm gonna do, because I think ensure cache entry returns the actual cache entry itself. Resolves with the cache entry once it becomes available. Yeah, okay. So cache entry, we'll get that. And if we're going to ensure that the cache wins the race, we are going to do how do we do this? You know what, actually, because the pipes that get sent down to the content process are the ones that we have to wait for. It's not the, like, to do it from the cache entry, we'd have to, like, get access to the output streams, and I'd rather make sure that it's the content process is able to read the bytes, as opposed to the parent process has the bytes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of these where I reach into the content process and I'll read this again. I have to do that twice because, I mean, the scope goes away, so I have to re-import it. And then what am I going to do inside here? It's like make sure that both of these are available. Whoops. Let page stream equal. Normally I wouldn't, like, because this is test code, I don't mind reaching in and grabbing these private members. They're only private so that outside consumers in production code don't touch them, but I'm fine for it. Like, I'm fine to have the test read them. Oh, that's script input stream, page input stream, and let script stream equals script input stream. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I think we have this thing called content task utils, which is available in the scope. Oh, there's a question inside the internet. It says, what's the name? Maggiz, M-A-G-G-G-E-S asks, do you have code coverage metrics for all the different code? Yes, we do. Let me find, if you're curious, Mozilla code coverage. Coveralls? Where's our I think we've got, you know, it's a variety, you know, as you browse around the source code. Here it is, coverage.moz.tools. As you browse around the different parts of the code base, you'll see like a variety of different kinds of different amounts of coverage. But like globally, we've got how much here? Coverage data on Mozilla Central. We had, what's this coverage? It's over 60%. Like some of these folders have like the media folder has only 41% coverage. NSPR has 41% coverage. Widget, 53% coverage. But like some of these other things like browser, that's where most of the Firefox front-end code has 71% coverage. 100% coverage in our config stuff. But I guess, I don't know, like config is like a build time thing. Our image decoders are 88% covered. Layout, 89%. So Magus writes, I love such metrics on huge projects with different tools and languages. Always interesting to see stuff getting together. Yeah, for sure. So let me link this in our notes for today. Code coverage metrics for Firefox. There you go. And I'll hit sync. And so if you reload the agenda, the link is there now. So yeah, that's our code coverage. So in content task utils, I believe there's this function that's called like wait for condition, and that's what I want to use here. Wait for condition, and the condition we're going to wait for is that both page stream available and script stream dot available. And I'm pretty sure calling available on a stream NSI input stream is, yeah, available. Determines the number of available bytes. The stream also informs the caller the current status of the stream. Streams that end file but not closed. Returns number of bytes currently available in the stream. So it doesn't. It might throw if the stream got closed already, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't be closed. And if it does throw, I mean, things have gone horribly wrong. So these will throw, and then the test will fail. So that's actually kind of good. So let's see if this works. Also, how did our linting go? Aha! So Prettier hates it. Prettier hates it. I don't know why. Normally, Prettier integrates with my editor here. I don't know why it's like. Oh, this is ESLint complaining about this. Wait, who's complaining? Prettier. Prettier hates it. I guess ESLint is running Prettier. Okay. I'm going to use -- fix to automatically fix these problems. That was a great question, by the way, Magus. If you have other questions, let me know. And in the matrix, let's see what kind of conversation is going on here. Opt equals optimized. There's a question inside the internet. Yep, that's me. Okay, so here, apparently this is how we want to format this. Okay, well, I mean, that's the whole point of Prettier, right? Is that it makes the decisions for you. So the thing we're going to have to do here is I'm going to like put a to do here because I have to like update this documentation. Don't ship this. Don't ship it like this. Let's see if we run this test, what happens. Moki test, browser components, new tab, test, browser. Oh, and I want to actually update simulate restart to use ensure cache wins race true. You know what? Actually, that defaults to true now, so we don't actually need it. That's why. I add the option because there might be places where we want to measure, we want to like exercise the case where we actually lose the race. That's a thing we do want to test, actually, but not right now. It's just these first batch of tests don't test that. So let's see if this works. And if it works, then I want to push it up to try our testing infrastructure and then and see what our automation, the test verify stuff thinks about it. And already it hates it just locally. Why? Because virtual env is mad. Oh, because this path does not exist. Oh, you know what? I think I have to build again. That's why. The good news is this is an artifact build. This will not take long. I'm actually not sure why mock build faster is having me do all of these like configure steps too, but hey, it's done. Let's try that again. Let's see. While we're waiting for this, the other thing I want to work on today, because like I think this is pretty much wrapped. Unless there's something wrong here, I'm going to push this up to try, and then we're going to have to wait to see how it does. And we might not actually get those answers back until like the very end of the stream. But I'm glad that the test passes. And actually, let me take a look at the log here. Got ensured cache bytes are available. Yeah, okay, great. So I think this will work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold these changes. Well, you know what? I'm not going to fold these changes in. I'm going to update the documentation first. Oh, I'm also going to run the other tests just to make sure. I'll do it in headless mode so it doesn't like pull focus. Let me update this documentation. What's the best way to, whenever you have an options object? What's the correct way to document that? So they call it params, but I'm doing destructuring. So I'm just going to say like options object optional. An object with the following properties. Okay, and it was with auto shutdown write Boolean. Whoop, format. And is this too long now? No, we're oh, this one's too long, but we're right inside the limit. We're in the limit. Calculus. Okay. Object with the following properties. I'm going to add some white space there. And then another property. We're going to call this ensure cache wins race Boolean. And optional. If this defaults to true. Boolean optional. Ensures that the content process, privileged about content process, will be able to read the bytes from the streams sent down from the HTTP cache. Use this to avoid the HTTP cache losing the race between losing the race against reading the about home document from the Omnija. This defaults to true. And all of our tests pass. So documentation updated, Boolean optional. Okay. Let's see what this does in automation. Quickly look at the patch. Seems okay. So I'm actually going to apply, I'm just going to fold this into this patch and then evolve. So what this does, I've got this patch checked out. I'm going to amend this. Here, I'll actually do it in one step so you can see what's going to happen. So I'm amending this change set with my new changes. And that's going to obsolete, in mercurial parlance, It's going to obsolete these two change sets, which rely on this one. And then what I have to do is rebase these two on top. So check it out. We look at the graph again. Mercurial says, hey, you know, this commit changed, and it was amended, and it's over here now. It was amended using amend, and now it's over here. It tells me what it became. And these two, which rely on it, are now orphans. And I have to rebase them on top of this. And thankfully, HGEvolve will just do that for me. Sometimes I kind of wish Mercurial would do the evolve step automatically when I amend, but I have a feeling they don't on purpose to avoid, like, you know, accidentally rebasing and causing merge conflicts and stuff when you really didn't want them to, or something. K Vkend says, you didn't fix the typo you found in the documentation. That is true, and that's because that has nothing to do with this patch. And I don't like to, like, even though I found a typo, I don't think it's a big deal, and I don't want to, like, increase the scope of this one patch or, like, add a new patch. If you want to file a bug and fix the typo, go for it. The typo was, where was it? It was in about new tab service. In this method, maybe get cached page channel. That attempts. We're missing the word to right here. But I don't want to increase the scope of this patch by, like, willy-nilly fixing things here and there that I find. I like to keep them focused on one individual thing at a time. Okay, so we've got our changes all up in here. So now I'm going to switch to this change set, and I'm going to push this to try. And I think the last time I pushed to try was for this particular problem. So I can just do mock try again. Hey, thanks, Piece of Pizza. You subscribed. Hey, thanks for subscribing. Apparently, I'm like a Twitch affiliate now. I really don't know why I did that. I did it over a weekend. I'm a Twitch affiliate. You don't have to donate. You don't have to send money. Like, I'm doing fine. But Twitch was bugging me about doing it, so I went like, pickle shoes, and I became an affiliate. But thanks for subscribing. That's really nice. Let's see here. So this is getting pushed up to try, and now we can, while we wait for that to bake, we can work on something else. So the thing I want to work on is the thing we were looking at last week, which was the, about home is like rebuilding itself a little bit whenever you use the cache. So let's take a look at that. So once I get my terminal back, we can switch focus. Come on, Mercurial. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let my bash go. Oh, come on. So here's the problem with using my phone as the new Wacky Morning DJ control, is that periodically, because it goes to sleep, it closes the WebSocket connection. Oh, there we go. It's done. Yeah, all right. So let's see, where are we? We're here, and I think I've already shown you, I don't want to waste time by showing you again what the problem is. I'll briefly describe it. Whenever you load about home from the cache, there's this like page, like a bunch of information gets sent down. Like the page loads before ActivityStream is initialized, and that's a good thing. But then ActivityStream initializes and sends like a bunch of traffic down to it, and then the page like redraws itself, which is bad. We don't want that sort of flicker to occur. So I want to find a way around that, and we were looking at that, I think, the week before last, or maybe a week before that, and I'd like to look at it again. I see a question in Matrix which says, is mock try basically the same as when you upload a patch to Fabricator and there it runs build checks? Mock try, so whenever you post a patch to Fabricator, automatically what occurs is like the linting bots run, and that makes use of like the try infrastructure to like apply the patches and then, you know, run linting and whatnot. Whenever I do mock try, I'm asking for continuous integration to pretend as if my patch has landed, and then I can tell it to run a particular subset of the tests. So instead of like the whole like thousands and thousands and thousands of tests I want to run, I just want to run the startup about home ones, and I can be a little bit more precise. And or at least that's the theory. And so mock try allows me to do that. Lord, this is hard to read. Lord Pereira goes, "Hi, Mike. This is the very first time I'm seeing you live. I was on YouTube a while ago. I was wondering, how can one get started solving first-time newcomer bugs?" I love that question. That's a great question. And that question is answered by this special site that I'm going to point you to right now called Code Tribute. I'm gonna describe what you want to do here. So codetribute.mozilla.org. I'm gonna put a link to that here in the agenda, and save the agenda so you can click on that. So basically there are two steps to this. The first thing you want to do is you're going to want to go to Bugzilla. Here, let me load up Bugzilla logged out so you can see it. You want to go to bugzilla.mozilla.org. That's where our bug tracker is. First, create a Bugzilla account. Actually, new account is where I should link. First, create a Bugzilla account. They're free, and you know, you can use your email address, but you can also use like you know, a fake email address, like depending on how anonymous you want to be, or like it's fine to give you. It's not very spammy. You can really control you know, what Bugzilla sends you. But just so you know, whenever you give us the email address, people can see your email address. So that's why it says here on point 2, some people use an alternative email address for this reason. So yeah, Bugzilla is a public place. Your comments and other activities will be generally publicly visible, and your email address will be accessible through public APIs, which will be visible to all logged in users of Bugzilla. So you know, I use my work email address. You can use whatever you want. But once you create that account, then the next step is to go to Code Tribute and find something you want to work on. So this Code Tribute is like an aggregation of interesting bugs that we've found that like are mentored, and they're good first bugs, or good second bugs, or good third bugs. And you can choose like the language you're interested in working on, or the area of the code base you're interested in working on. And it's not just Firefox, it's a bunch of stuff. Like Bugzilla, if you're a Perl developer, for example, you might be interested in working on Bugzilla, our bug tracker. And believe it or not, our Bugzilla, the code base for Bugzilla, even though it's written in Perl, like I don't mean to harp on Perl. I've always had a hard time with it. I find it difficult to read, but our Bugzilla Perl code is really good. Like, it's really clean code. It's very readable. So maybe you want to check out the Bugzilla project, and you can supply patches there. Or maybe you want to work on some of our linting stuff for our Rust code, or on the Android browser, Phoenix, the up-and-coming one, or our dev tools, or the internals of Firefox, or the desktop front end, or for like all these different bits and pieces of the project, both Firefox and like surrounding Firefox, that you might want to work on. You can choose one of these topic areas. So let's suppose you choose the Firefox desktop front end, and then you can find all of these bugs that are listed as like good first bugs. And then you choose one. Let's just pick this one. And if you are interested in working on it, right now it's unassigned, just comment in it and say, I would like to work on this. And the mentor, the assigned mentor, in this case it's Matt N, will assign you the bug and give you guidance on what to do. So that's how I would proceed if you want to contribute, Lord Pereira. And it's it's a lot of fun. I find we really value volunteer contributors who kind of come out of the woodwork. If you're looking to just like beef up your open source contributions, or you just want to make Firefox better, or you want to make Mozilla stuff better, you make the open web better, this is a great opportunity to on-ramp yourself, get used to the workflow, because your mentor will guide you not only through how to write the patch, but also how to get the patch reviewed, how to get the patch landed after it's been reviewed. Like the mentor will walk you through each of these steps. So, and like all of the tools that you might need to do, how you're going to like run tests, etc. They'll walk you through the whole thing. So that's how I would do it. Hawkeye says, that's really useful information. Thank you. You're welcome, Hawkeye. There's a bit of other traffic in here. Let me just make sure there's no question. Waiting for a lock on working directory. Is that just some kind of tracing message from the HG remote, or does HG work centralized and online like SVN? This is a message from the server, basically saying someone else is currently pushing. Yeah, I think that's right. That's right. Like, that's why it was taking so long for some reason, is like there was some kind of like lock, like the try repository, which is what we're pushing to. It's very busy. Like, people are pushing to it all the time, and because of how Mercurial works, you have to like take a lock. And so you have to wait until like other pushes. There's like a queue of pushes, and you have to wait until it's your turn. And that's, you know, whenever it's your turn, you like, it's almost like entering an airlock. You close it behind you, you do your thing, you exit, and once you've exited, then the next people go, and that's a lock. And that's what's been done. Okay, so let's see. Hang on, I'm trying to regroup my thoughts here. Okay, so it's the flicker. And there are all these messages that come down, and I've already identified some of the messages that cause this. And what I was doing last time, I think, was trying to figure out why the top sites reducer thinks that the initial state is blank. That was the question that I think I came to last time I was looking at this. So our reducer, I'm really new to Redux and React. Like, I'm more familiar with it now because of having to work on About Home and like activity stream stuff. So I'm getting used to it, but I'm certainly by no means a React or Redux expert. I understand some of the basic concepts. And so forgive me if you're watching this and you're like, I'm pro at all the React and your stuff blows. Please don't do that. I'm new and I'm total noob. You know, give me vanilla JavaScript or give me death. So the top sites reducer, here are the reducers. This is the initial state, and then there's a top sites reducer in here. And presumably the messages that cause us to lose their thumbs is top sites updated, and then screenshot updated also causes top sites to flash. This causes us to lose their thumbnails. So top sites updated, apparently whenever it starts, it thinks that initialized is false, and then initialized becomes true. Okay, how did I want to do this? And I think what I was working on last time, I was adding logging in here and trying to differentiate between whether or not I was running in the parent process and the content process. That's what I was doing last time. And I ran into some difficulty with that. And I don't think I moved on from it. Let's see. So how do I want to do this? I guess one thing I can do is I want to get a sense of how this, like, what's occurring whenever we hit this message. Okay, I have an idea. Here's my idea. I'm going to put a debugger statement here. And then inside of browser glue, where the about new tab stuff occurs, actually not in browser glue, I'm going to put it inside about new tab.jsm. There's this thing that actually does the work of like initializing all of activity stream stuff. And what it does is it waits on this, like the browser ready. What I'm going to do is instead of waiting for the on browser ready, I'm going to do it manually. So I never call on browser ready. I'm going to do it manually from the browser console. And then that will construct all of the stuff and send down the messages. And I can control when that occurs. And that will allow me to attach the JavaScript debugger. That's my plan. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. First thing, new tab, I'm going to run bundle. Because you got to do that each time. I haven't actually watched Lighthouse yet. That's the movie with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, but I really want to. I feel like it'd be perfect self-isolation film. It's like,
how long have we been on this rock? 5 weeks? 2 days? Help me to recollect.
That I can't wait to see it. I just need to find where it is. Is it? I don't think it's on Netflix yet. I gotta find a way to buy it and then watch it. So that's built. If anyone knows where I can buy it, please let me know. I'd rather buy it. I don't want to steal it, especially because it's an indie film. Because I have a job. I'm not a student anymore. I'm not saying I stole things when I was a student, but I'm not saying I didn't. But now that I have a job, I feel less like there's less justification in just like stealing stuff, especially like artwork. So I'd rather not steal it. I'd like to purchase it. And so I don't know where to purchase Lighthouse from, but maybe one of you knows. Okay, so that's built. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run. Okay, now that's actually not gonna work to my. Oh, you know, I can make this work. On browser ready. There we go. Then I hit my debugger there, and that's good. That's what I wanted, except not right now, because what I want to do is do that with the cache document. So let me shut down now. Hang on. I think I've done all of this wrong because by default, the cache stuff doesn't run. It doesn't work. It's disabled by default. About home, cache enabled. That's what I need to do first. Now I need to shut down. I need to restart. And now I need to do that on browser ready thing. And now I'm going to shut down. And now I run. Okay, so this is the cache document, and it loaded exactly the way we wanted, which was fast. Like I'm gonna do that shutdown startup again. Like we didn't even need the activity stream stuff to run. I've disabled it, but like this document loaded like ASAP, and that's what we want. But now I'm gonna open up the debugger, the DevTools, and I'm gonna say, hey, on browser ready, and now this stuff comes down, and we can start examining state and stepping through this stuff. So let me pump up the font a little bit. So here we are in our debugger. And I like to have the console open whenever I debug. You can use escape, hit the escape button, and you get a console at the bottom, which is really handy. Whoop, no, I didn't mean to open Slicer. No! Okay, what is our current state? So it actually starts initialized. That's good. That's what we want. And we've got this like set of rows and search shortcuts. And then we've got this new state coming in. Was it action.data? And so we've got these links. And then whether or not we're collapsed. So what do we do? Initialize, we're gonna like assign previous state, and we're gonna apply initialize true and rows. Pref, there's also this pref one, and that's gonna update whether or not we are collapsed. Because that's a thing that we don't actually have, I don't think, in our... Oh, no, we do. Collapsed false. So, like, the state... Do we have object utils in here? Or deep equal? How do I do a deep equal? So, like, this stuff comes in... And typed bonus is default. background color undefined. This is the new stuff. And then, for example, the old stuff looks pretty much the same. Facebook. And then these search shortcuts also come in. As like, we've got that as like a separate item. So rows, search shortcuts, and then the show search shortcuts form, that's false. And so we're gonna, let me actually compute what the new object will be. This is the new object that'll be generated. Let me assign that. Let new state equal that. And so what's the previous state? Is that. Now I want to know if they're different. What would be great is if our our dev tools, like, is there a built-in console built-in deep equal? That'd be really nice. JavaScript. They're like command line, split pane. All right, well, let's just create ourselves a deep equal. There's this thing, deep equal. We'll just use this algorithm. And instance of, what else does it use? Object equiv is undefined. Oh man, okay. I don't think I can just like, I can't import this into the scope. So I'm just gonna like, copy all of this and just run it. Just gonna run it inside of the testing, like the execution scope here. Okay, so deep equal, prev state, new state. Deep equal is undefined. What? But I did all of this. Function deep equal. Okay, let's see. How about instead of doing it that way, how do I get the yeah, let's do it this way. And we'll assign these clearly I can assign variables. So I'm gonna say like let deep equal that. Let instance of equal that. Oh man, let equal such a pain. Why wouldn't it do the, I don't know why in this debugged scope it's not letting me define functions, but that appears to be the case. But it did allow me to define variables. So that's, I'm going to hack around this by doing the define variables. Let underscore strict equal that. Okay, let's see if it likes that. So now if I go deep equal, it exists, and I'm going to say prev state, next state. Oh, no, new state, new state. They are not equal. Great. I wish I knew where they're not equal. Let's see. What's the best way to determine the difference? Can I like copy object? What happens if I copy the object? Yeah, I get to do that. And then new state, copy object. So what I need to do, I need like a JavaScript JSON differ. Or I could probably just use like diff in bash or in my terminal to see what the difference is. What is the difference between this and this? This and this. This and this. Okay. Let's ask our terminal. So I'll save this as prev state. I'm gonna put this in my home directory, .json, and then new state. And we'll do diff prev state, new state. No difference. What? Okay, so somehow in how they're JSON serialized, they are not different, but deep equal thinks they're different. So maybe something in how... What? Something in... Okay, I got an idea. Let's copy this. This is handy. And what we're going to say is anytime it returns false, we'll log. I'm going to modify the script. I'm going to shut down, and we're going to do this again. But we're going to modify our utility function here. We're going to say deep equal. If they're true, we're going to say dates console log. Dates not equivalent. Or even better, we'll put debuggers. Oh, no, don't save. Debuggers in the places where they are false. Result equal, if not result, debugger. Object equiv. All right, well, maybe that'll help. Maybe that will help. Okay, so now I open this up, and I open up this, and I say about new tab dot on browser ready, hit our debugger statement, and then what was the good stuff? I'm gonna turn off instant evaluation because that scares me. Instead, I'm gonna say new state equals that. That's also a handy piece of JavaScript I'm gonna have down here, a little scratch pad, and then I'm gonna copy this stuff in. Okay. Deep equal prev state new state. What? I wonder, I'm already at a breakpoint. I wonder if that's, balls. So replace debugger with console.error false at 1. This is how I'm doing this now. False at 2. False at 3. False at 4. You're watching me do this. False at 5. And maybe I missed one. You know, maybe there's False at 5, false at 6, false at 7. False at 8. False at 9. This seems so silly, but like the diffing didn't reveal what the problem was, so I don't know what else to do. All right. Let's restart. Oh, no, don't run that. No, I click on way too many wrong things in my dock. Okay, toolbox, and then debugger, and then let's hit the breakpoint, and then let's run this stuff. And let's run this stuff. Deep equal new prev state, new state. False at 9 and then 10. False at 9. So wasn't pretty, but we got ourselves an answer. The length of the keys. So object.keys prev state.length is 6. Okay, so it's some other object. False at 9 and false at 10. False at 10. And then KA, KB. That's what I'll do. All right, one more time. Once more into the breach, my friends. Yes. About new tab. Yes. That's my Bane voice. Yes. What would you like to do with the debugger? Would you like to hit a breakpoint? All right. Run this. Now run this. And now deep equal prev state, new state. Oh, very interesting. The new state. Oh, typed one. So we're the background color. Oh, I think I know what's going on. Tippy top icon is default host name. So like prev state, object, rows, object. It's not in here. It's somewhere else. Search shortcuts maybe? And the object. Where's host name? Not prototype. No. It's this sort of thing. Background color. Whenever something is undefined, it doesn't get, you can't JSON encode something that's undefined. Like check this out. If I, let me open up a new debugger here. Here's what's interesting. Fun fact, let's say we have two objects. X equals mic test. And let's say Y equals mic test, but also other undefined. Oh, sorry. What? There's already a Y. Let's say x2 then. Fine. So we have x and we have x2. Obviously, these two things are not equivalent. However, if I JSON encode them, JSON stringify x equal JSON stringify x2, they encode as JSON. They become equivalent. And the reason for that is because undefined is not a thing that can be encoded in JSON. And so it gets stripped out. It just doesn't get included. And that, folks, is the way the news goes. That's why these things are not equivalent, and that's what's causing a redraw. Okay. Background color is undefined. I think where is that stuff? I want to make sure that we don't include the background color. I think that's what I want to do here. Background color. It's a top site item, right? That's what we determined. Top site. No, it's a search shortcut. That's where you can define a background color, I think. Yeah, this all sounds so familiar because I think I did something similar. I did some like hackery around inside about new tab service in the cache child, inside the worker, cache worker. There was this thing I did. JSON. Oh, no, it was in a test. It was like the test about home startup cache worker. There were certain things that wouldn't. Some of the properties state my value is set to undefined. There's no way to express a named undefined property on an object in JSON, so we filter those out by stringifying and reparsing. This was kind of paving over that issue, but it turns out that's not just a testing problem. That's like a real problem here, because I think it's contributing to the redraw. So where is background color set is my next question. Background color. So I'm going to get a lot of hits for this, but under new tab, probably fewer. In button, and in snippet, and in top site. And I think that's where it's happening. Link.background color. Background color. Okay. You can encode null though. Like if you like let x equal foo null, JSON stringify x. Whoops. Yeah, you can encode null. And so maybe that's what I should do instead. Link.background color is like whenever things aren't there, default to null and not undefined. Link.background color. And a link. What is a link? Link! Search top site. Host name. Pinned. What does it have? Keyword, a small favicon. Small favicon. Tippy top provider. Site. Aha. I got a feeling whenever the background color is not supplied, if tippy top, sites by domain, I'm going to say or null. That's what I'm going to do here. Tippy top provider. Let's see what happens if I do or null. So what I'm going to do now is restart or build faster. Please don't sue me, Nintendo. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do about new tab on browser ready. And then I'm going to shut down to make sure it's cached. And now I'm going to, so this should have been cached, this document, if we look at the document, it was cached, yeah, a couple seconds ago. And now I'm going to, on browser ready, we hit our debug state. And now I'm going to do the stuff we did before, which was this thing. So let new state equal such and such. Well, actually, let's take a look at action.data. Let's take a look at our objects. Links. Prev state. Object. Search shortcuts. Background color is null. Good. Now what I'm going to do is compute the new state. And now our search shortcuts should still be null. That's good. And so if I do this, then they should be deeply equal. Deep equal prev state, new state, true. Okay, good. So I believe now, let's get rid of our debugger statement. Let's see if this helps at all. So where were we? Where's the debugger? It's inside of reducers.jsm. Let's get rid of that. Let's also make it so that whenever about new tab starts, we do this step again. So we're going to go browser components new tab, npm run bundle. How we doing? How we hanging in there, folks? Are any Bane sounded more like Deckard Cain from Diablo.
Yes, we want to destroy Diablo. Some kind of demon hellspawn from the 90s.
Okay. The way I enter the Bane voice is by saying yes. You go,
yes, yes. How do you like them apples?
So we load up here. Okay, what's really interesting is that yes, the pocket stuff still flashes, but the new tab stories do not. So let's double check. What I'm going to do is I'm going to revert provider. What was it? Top sites, tippy top provider, tippy top provider. Revert. And I want to keep your eye. Actually, I can probably make this easier by removing the pocket stories. Or collapsing them so you don't see them. So now we shut down, we restart. And we restart again. So why aren't those flashing now? I mean, this is all bumping up and down, which I find kind of annoying, but tippy top. They were flashing, I swear. Well, shoot. Oh, build faster. This allows us to, you know, the state comes down, but there's no difference. So now React will decide not to update the object or the component. So we don't have to do a redraw, at least. I wonder if it has to do with the fact that I've got no thumbnails in here. Like, let's suppose I add some sites. I browse around. Let's browse around. So that, you know, I get some sites up in here. Our title, URL. Let me add my own blog for vanity. So, like... So eventually this will get like a little thumbnail. There it is. Okay, so now let's shut down. See? Yeah, that's the flash. It's the thumbnails. It's the thumbnails that flash. So is that not helping? It's not helping. But it's not the search shortcuts. It's these screenshots that sort of go like good-ump. So I think we made things more efficient by making it so that the React components don't decide to try and like recompute themselves by doing this, but we didn't actually get rid of the flash. So unfortunately, not useful. But the flash, let's go back to, sorry, that's my music. Let's go back to here. Causes top sites to lose their thumbs. Causes pocket stories to redraw. Screenshot updated. Causes top sites to flash. Right. So yeah, I think there was like a tippy top sites flash before, and I suspect we will now have eliminated it. What we're seeing with this screenshot updated thing, screenshot updated, is what's causing this part. And it's this, Jesus. This message now is causing the, we're no longer losing our thumbs. We're now seeing the flash. So it's a two-parter. That's the problem. So we did make headway today, but we got to figure out what to do about this one too. Screenshot updated. Let's see if I can pack in an investigation. Let's use some of the same techniques as last time. So inside about new tab, we're gonna not do that, and then we're gonna do reducers.jsm screenshot updated. This is the only action or reducer that handles that action. I'm gonna put a debugger here, and we're gonna see what the difference is. And now I'm going to npm run bundle. Scoop scooby-doo. Doo boop boop boo. Yeah. Schwabba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Schwabbity-ba. Scooby-doo. Oh, let's also try and see what how our try build's doing. Still building some stuff. Oh, I have to manually trigger these test verify things because I couldn't do it before. So hold on a second. I want to turn on test verify on OS X debug, 1014 shippable. All right, here we go. I gotta actually log into tree herder first. It's got to go do all this like SSO stuff, and now use full job list. Verify. It's like test verify, test verify. Oh boy, this is not helping. The easier way to do this, I've found, is to actually use the add new jobs button and then just find the symbol. So Linux x64 and 1804 shippable, 1804 shippable, x64 shippable opt. Yeah, here. So let's get rid of the tier 1 jobs. Only look at the tier 2 jobs. And there should be one in here about test verify. Actually, I can just probably just do this. Yeah, that's what I want. TV. And then the other one was TV on OS X 1014 debug. TV. And the other one was shippable opt. OS X shippable opt. TV. Trigger. Okay. So those will run now. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, this thing's here. And we're going to open up our debug. And then we're going to say, nope, we're going to say about new tab on browser ready. We hit here, our debug breakpoint. Yes, debug breakpoint. Prev state is this object. We're going to calculate our new state. Let's step past that. Has match? True. What's has match? Has match. Some kind of scoped variable. Okay. So we're gonna take a look at the prev state. We're gonna do that. Let new state equal that. Oh, okay. So we have prev state and we've got new state. Let's see if there's an obvious difference. I can't see one, so now we are doing our fancy is deep equal thing. Deep equal prev state new state. They're not equal. So I wonder if this is a similar problem as before. Something wasn't serialized correctly. So, oh, that's a neat feature. One has this like screenshot property is pinned screenshot. New state rows. This one. This was new state. There's this screenshot set on it. That's fine. And prev state object rows. There was no screenshot set on it. There's a favicon set. So why wasn't the screenshot encoded in the cache? That's the problem. Is that the screenshot property wasn't encoded in the cache. Why not? Why not? That's the next question. So why does the top sites reducer think the initial state is blank? It doesn't. This was a red herring. Why does the top sites reducer think that the new state is different from the old state? Because there were undefined properties in the state object that weren't serialized properly to JSON, which and it's like the screen, what was it? The background color for tippy top provider. If we choose to represent no background color as null, we can encode that to JSON. Why does the screenshot flash after we load? It turns out it looks like the screenshot property on the top sites row element doesn't exist in the cached version of the page. Cached object for the page in the cached state object. Why not? That's the next mystery, and we're gonna find out maybe next time, or maybe I'll figure it out on my own time. But that's where we're at. I'm gonna cap it here. Thank you so much for watching episode 215 of The Joy of Coding. That was kind of interesting. You know, we I thought we made some progress. I thought we figured some stuff out. I'm still, learning about this Redux and React stuff, but I think we're making some headway. Thanks again for watching. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're well. Tune in next week and we'll see where we're at. Another thank you to all the viewers out there who've been hanging out and giving feedback in the channel and whatnot. Might as well say special thank you to all the frontline workers. I'm not saying that just because everyone else says it. I actually really mean it. Thank you everyone. If you yourself are like one of those frontline workers and you happen to be watching this, thank you so much. You're saving our collective bacon. And I think I'm going to cap it here. I said that earlier and I meant it. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching episode 215. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you hopefully next week with Joy of Coding episode 216. Let me just reload Wacky Morning DJ and play me out. Take care. Bye-bye. See ya.